The impassioned plea came from a San Diego police officer. He was seeking a religious exemption from taking a COVID vaccine and wrote down his deeply held beliefs. It is my belief that God knew what he was doing, and the body needs no fixing by mankind, he wrote, spelling it mankind with a D. A few sentences later, he also spelled the word hate with a TH. Oddly enough, another San Diego police officer apparently had the exact same religious conviction. The second officer's exemption application included identical wording, complete with the same spelling errors. That's just one example of uncanny similarities found by a KPBS review of 105 religious exemption forms that San Diego Police Department personnel filed with the city. In fact, more often than not, the passages appeared to be copied directly from sample religious exemption requests found on the internet. Despite this, city officials have approved almost all 1,000 vaccine exemptions and only denied 16. Most responses stated that the COVID vaccine is in direct conflict with the Bible and referenced biblical passages. The most common come from 1 Corinthians, such as, "Don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst?"
Some of the ways that these texts are used in isolation from the way that they fit Paul's argument for this community in Corinth in the first century CE, um, I think stretch at the boundaries of what's a possible application of this text.
Kara Lyons Purdue is a New Testament professor at Point Loma Nazarene University. She says searching for specific passages in the Bible to support an argument leads to misinterpretation. Like in the case of 1 Corinthians, the Apostle Paul is speaking to a group.
Arguing against some pretty gratuitous sexual immorality going on in the communities. Here, it's not even food or something that you would consume or a medicine that's in reference. This is talking about sexual immorality.
More than 75% of respondents said their religion did allow them to receive other vaccines like tetanus shots, flu shots, and childhood vaccinations, just not COVID vaccines. When asked why, more than a dozen left the question blank, and 20 said they didn't know. Many others made the argument that only COVID vaccines are derived from fetal cells, which equated to abortion and murder, they said. But the vaccines themselves do not contain fetal tissue, and the Catholic Church supports the vaccines.
If they were taking one of my classes, they would all be, fail the class for plagiarism.
Khaled Alexander is an English professor at San Diego City College and criminal justice reform advocate.
It's blatant and in your face.
The fact that police officers would copy answers from the internet to a question that asked about deeply held personal religious beliefs was disheartening to Alexander. He says it indicates that the police department plays by its own rules.
The lack of consequences for them clearly, copy pasting and finding whatever loopholes they can not to follow the law, calls into question who holds the police accountable.
City staffers who reviewed the requests say language copied from the internet could still reflect someone's personal religious beliefs.
The city did not question the validity or sincerity of employees' stated religious beliefs.
Julie Perez Rasco is the director of the city's Human Resources Department.
Employees' personal, social, or political philosophies are those who reference personal preferences, beliefs, or fears of a secular nature were determined to not qualify as protected religious beliefs.
Staff say it's not the city's role to judge where the wording came from. Claire Trageser, KPBS News.